There we go. And Gukesh opening with a D pawn, and Kramnik inviting a French defense, and Gukesh says, no, I'll not have any of that.
Kramnik is messing around a little with the move order, trying to confuse his young opponent, but it's not anything to worry about for Gukesh. The knight will just come out to f6 and we're back to a theoretical position. But it did win him like 10 seconds. And back to business.
Yes, and Gukesh actually employing one of his lines that he's played before with success. And the bishop coming out to f4. He likes this a lot. And Kramnik now using the knight to attack this bishop. Big question.
Kramnik knows the subtleties here. We'll see another Carlsbad structure very similar to what we just saw between Abdusatorov and Masadlu. These bishops also get exchanged, and it will be the typical plans again. Black trying to attack on the king side, white trying to generate something on the queen side. Looks like Gukesh is out of book, so that's good news for Kramnik. And yeah, he plays bishop e2. Very sensible move, not allowing this knight to jump into the f4 square.
And I was observing the heart rates, and I can see that Gukesh, his is racing up. It was around 90 and it went up to 115 at some point. And now he's
come down again.
He has come down because he spotted the plan that he wants to do. It is the good old-fashioned minority attack, where he's going to go b2, b4 and chip away at the black queen side. And Kramnik rerouting the knight. He's going to put it on g7.
It's called minority attack because white only has 2 pawns there on the queen side, while black has 3, but it's still white who lunges forward with his pawn, trying to create a weakness in the black camp. Gukesh not in a hurry though.
No, he's not in a hurry, just giving his king some squares, and Kramnik rerouting the knight. And I like the way that Gukesh is like, well, consequences. You abandoned control of the e5 square, but this is black's point. The light square bishop is now out.
And rook c1, a small concession, gives up the dream of pushing his b pawn, and a bit unclear what white wants to do next. Looks like Kramnik is comfortable here. Push the h pawn. No, he wants to exchange the knight.
Yeah, this is a good move by Kramnik. When you don't have so much space, trade off some pieces. Send your children to boarding school is the expression. I guess the knight will retreat. Okay, he goes for that trade.
I don't think they know your rules.
No, they don't.
It takes, bishop takes, and knight to a4.
Knight has to go to a4.
Expansion, but he doesn't do it. Gukesh is welcoming more trades, because the more pieces get exchanged here, the tougher it is for black to counterattack on the king side, while the white plan should usually work with limited material too. But he has to be careful that the black knight from g7 doesn't reach its dream square on d6.
And
Kramnik says no, time to counterattack. Bold choice.
It is a bold choice. And I think it's very thematic as well. I mean, whenever I look at this type of positions from the black side, there's always one name that pops out in my database, and that is Vladimir Kramnik. And he's lunging on the king side. Now's the time to reroute some pieces, build up your attack. And there, woohoo, he's going for it. G5, and queen stepping to d2. And taking a look at the clock times, both players, well, they're comfortable around the 1:40 mark. And
on to a4, nice move, stopping that minority attack, that pawn push from white for good, because now if this pawn were to move, there would be en passant, so Gukesh has to switch to defense on the king side, and he does.
He does. But the problem is that Kramnik has a free hand to do whatever he likes, and there he just moves his queen just to overprotect this pawn on f5.
Very tense situation. White would love to transfer his knight to a better square, ideally to this e5 square, but it takes a long time to shuffle it around.
And Gukesh now with almost a 20-second deficit, or more than that now.
Is that too much respect? There comes the knight headed towards e5, but Kramnik will not sit idly. He will push one of his pawns before that horsey.
I think he's going to go for h-pawn, get that nice row. And then I've seen, okay, no, he's going for g4. He will, sometimes you can be inspired by like artificial intelligence, and there were some games with Alpha Zero where the king, Alpha Zero played with the black pieces, part the king on h6, just to clear the way for the rooks to get involved in the attack. And we see a trade of pawns.
Gukesh countering in the center, willing to part with his d pawn, but I'm sure he has a plan. What is his plan though? If the queen captures the pawn, I don't see it yet. Very curious.
Well,
Maybe queen.
he's gonna. Isn't he gonna go forward with his pawn and threaten bishop takes pawn?
Well, Kramnik will probably spot that.
Is it not dangerous though? I mean, to allow the pawn to e5. Okay, well, Kramnik thinking.
Take the pawn, Vladi.
Yeah, there's still things to be calculated. Gukesh is fantastic in these attacking positions. Okay, he's
Do
taken
it.
the e-pawn, but this feels like this is good for white. Black's overstretched his resources on the king side, and this position is so sharp with the players not having so much time on the clock.
Yeah, white should be somewhat for choice now, but both sides below a minute. The good thing for Gukesh is now his king is safer, because Kramnik, by attacking, exposed his own king. Gukesh showing a lot of respect though, taking a lot of time for every move. They do get the 2 extra seconds, but still, speed up a little.
Yeah, and talking about speeding up, take a look at Vlad's heart rate, 145. Ooh, and well, that is a spanner in the works for Gukesh.
Yeah, you can't take it.
You can't take it. And also big threat of the queen coming to h4, but okay, one thing Gukesh can do is attack that pawn.
I don't get that move, knight f5.
Queen comes to f4. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And now Kramnik, 25
bring the other rook into the
seconds.
game, rook d8. Why don't you do that, Mr. Kramnik? He wants to move on the king side. What's he doing? Queen out of the way? Yeah, queen g6. Interesting.
Is he setting up a trick of knight takes pawn?
Gukesh sidestepping, and here comes the rook hitting that d4 pawn. Gukesh attacks the queen, but if it goes out of the way, there's a checkmate threat, and Kramnik is in the driver's seat. Queen h2 is checkmate. The pawn cannot easily get taken, so the knight has to block it. And now black wins the pawn and has reclaimed the initiative.
And Kramnik under 10 seconds, but the position
nervous.
is still very sharp. And now take the pawn.
Oh, he gave the pawn back. Yeah, Kramnik, now that they're down to the last second, seems to be struggling a bit. Of course, he also wants to be a great role model for his former student, show him how this is handled with great class and without any shenanigans.
Well, still, there's a lot of questions for... there
Lost
goes
some
another
pawns.
pawn.
Gukesh much cooler in this phase, just taking all the pawns. He left one there.
And giving a check. Kramnik hiding his king away, but now all Gukesh has to do is build. And
Yeah,
love this
desperate
move.
situation for Kramnik now. Pawn
3.
down.
He throws a check, but you can just see the pack. He's going to lose on time.
Oh, barely made it.
But okay, he
stepped into the
blundered.
pin, gives a piece, and he's saying enough.
Oh, and in the end, it was the clock that proved to be Kramnik's downfall as he loses.